Hello and welcome to this unboxing and review video for Arena of Shades. GW have been kind enough to send this through to me free of charge for your reviewing pleasure. So I'm going to review it today. Please excuse me coughing and spluttering. I have a cold. The little stick machine repeatedly tells me it's not COVID. But it is a cough. So there is a book review element, which I don't want to point the camera at because I don't know if that's allowed. So yeah, I normally do the book review to camera, and then we will do the unboxing and review of the minis afterwards. And the reason for anyone who's vaguely interested in why I do this on the phone is, being the technical fool that I am, I find it incredibly difficult to edit together things that I've filmed on my phone and films that I've filmed on my computer. And if I did proper to-face stuff on the computer, then I wouldn't be able to stitch it together to the stuff on the unboxing of the... Anyway. Now, the last one of these I did, it came out in a weird mirror image because... I think it was because I had the camera upside down. I'm using the selfie thing because that way I know the thing's still running. It's got the thing there that says it's still going, but I look at my face by mistake instead of looking at the camera thing, which is why I look like I'm looking off into the anyway. So insane dribblings aside, I'm excited for this. I'm really excited. It looks so cool. So I'm going to go through the narrative, what's in here, talk about some of the battle plans and some of the stats. Nighthaunt players who are watching, there's more I can relate to from a Nighthaunt point of view because I have a Nighthaunt army. Daughters of Khaine, not so much. I don't have a book, their book, so what I'm saying may be new news, it may not be new news. So yeah, then we'll open up the box. If you aren't interested in what's in the book and are more interested in just the models, I reckon skip on about 20 minutes. He said in a squeaky voice. Oh, don't do that, bad idea. There's probably going to be a lot of that. Okay. You see, if I wait till I'm better, I won't have the video out in time for the preview date for this. So I'm just ripping the plaster off and doing it now, even though I don't feel very well. So this is set in the city of Harkuron. And Harkuron. Get that right. Which formerly known as Anvil. I want to say land, that's not right. I also want to say Grad, I don't think that's right either. Anvil Guard, which was one of the Stormcast Eternal fortresses in Ashki, the Realm of Fire. The first couple of bits, obviously I can't read the whole thing out, but there are bits on there's the forward bit, and then there's the very first page, and I'm going to read those out because I think they're really cool. So this is the bit, when you open the front cover, this is the little vignette that meets you inside. None may steal from the god of death. In the minds of Nagash's servants, this is an irrefutable law. There is an order to all things that must be observed. Every departed soul is bound for Shaiish, there to become one in the Supreme Lord of the Undead. In the bleak pits of his malice they are remade, transformed into the legions through which he will grind the living into dust and remake the realms as his necrotopia. There is much that the great necromancer despises, much that wears at his monstrous pride. Nothing, however, enrages him more than the theft of souls. Against those judged guilty of such an offence, Nagash unleashes his most terrifying armies, cold-eyed and vengeful spectres, filled with hatred for all that breathes. Yet still there are those who transgress. Among these, few inspire greater fury than the Elves. It was not enough that their gods once thieved the souls of their ancestors to rebuild their people. Even now they steal away spirits, cheating Nagash of his due. At last he can restrain himself no more. The great necromancer's bale flame eyes have settled on the city of Har-Kuron. Once a powerful Sigmarite port, Har-Kuron is now ruled by the daughters of Khaine, a militant cult of elves dedicated to bloodshed and slaughter. Their martial skill, be it demonstrated in the arena of their strongholds or on the field of open battle, is as legendary as their capacity for cruelty. Yet even as they rule their subjects with an iron fist and plot to expand their empire, horrors mash in Shaiish, prepared to break against them. To punish the elves, Nagash has turned to a powerful, if often maligned servant, a cursed king among Geists who will allow nothing to stand in the way of his undying ambitions. Har-Kuron will bleed, one way or another. All can be certain of that. So cool. And then this is a little bit more sceney, setty stuff, but just this one last bit. Then I'll do more of you. This isn't book at bedtime, but it's so cool. As war raged across the mortal realms, a foul plot brewed in Shaiish. Nagash, supreme lord of the undead, seethed over the insults committed against him, knowingly or otherwise. To take his vengeance, the great necromancer turned to one of his more infamous servants, Kurdos Valentine, the Craven King. In the depths of Nagash's ire, the god of the dead brooded upon his throne. It was something he did often these nights. It had been that way since the debacle of Haish. At the climax of the Soul Wars, the great necromancer had attempted to drain the magics from the realm through a grand and heinous ritual, but he was struck down by the luminous magics of the Archmage Teclis and the realm spirit Selenar. His necroquake had ravaged the cosmos, yet ultimately, and at great cost, the fallout of that sorcerous cataclysm had been reversed by elvish sorceries. Now, the hordes of destruction were on the offensive, spearheaded by some bellowing monstrosity that called itself a god. 1,000 lesser barbs had also been levelled against Nagash's ego, yet one in particular indignity nagged: the fall of the Sigmarite city of Anvilgard, conquered by the daughters of Khaine and the Indeneth in a bloody coup, should have pleased him. Instead, Nagash could not deny himself some amusement when he imagined the look on Sigmar's face in the aftermath. Yet the Khainites had committed a grievous sin. They had offered the souls of the many cities' inhabitants to their Ildeneth allies, the price for their aid in taking Anvilgard, now known as Har-Kuron. These had been spirited away to the submerged enclaves of the Deepkin, and none had reached Shaiish. It was soul theft of the most flagrant kind. To the great necromancer, there was no crime more grave. Once, Nagash would have descended to ravage Har-Kuron and take which he was owed, yet his defeat had left him sorely weakened. In time he would recover, but for now his strength was largely confined to Shaiish. Many of his greatest servants had equally fallen before the elves, or else were caught up in their own schemes. While he could have exerted his will over them, prideful Nagash was loath to reveal his weakened state. Still, there was one whose desire to prove themselves could see them entrusted with a retributive strike, the first move in Nagash's plots for revenge. Oh, so good! I hope there's a book about this somewhere in audio that I can listen to instead of reading. I don't do a lot of reading. Right, that's the last bit, I promise. So then, it then carries on to talk about the Lord of Dolarum, who is Kurdos Valentine. Valentian, Kurdos Valentian. Basically, this guy was a prince. He was the 12th of 12 brothers, but he wanted to rule so badly over a period of time he offed all his siblings. But the thing, and Nagash found this like hella funny. However, one thing he did do that really irked Nagash is that the family had been sort of ancestral worshippers of Nagash, but Kurdos threw his lot in with Sigmar. He saw him as a mighty, powerful conqueror, and started to give him his devotion. So just at the moment that he killed his last sibling, Nagash turned up and went, "And you're dead. And whoop, you're mine." He's cursed to serve, never to rule, is his shtick. And he's subjugated to Lady Olinda, who is the... Oh, sorry, Lemmy. Sorry, she just snuck into the kitchen, and as I moved my foot, I found a cat underneath it. Oh, you're right. Lady Olinda. So she's the Mortarch of Grief. She's the Nighthaunt Mortarch, and he's sort of chained to her, which he hates. But Nagash has co-opted him for this special mission, this special task, and he wants to prove himself. He's been building up a massive network of spies and knowledge. And one of the things that impressed Nagash most is even as soon as he became subjugated, his first thing was, right, I now need more plots to how to rule. And Nagash was like, gotta respect him for that. Props. I believe my vernacular is perfect. So he's got agents everywhere. He's kind of like a wannabe spy master of the dead. Then we have a couple of pages on the sack of Har-Curon, one of which is obscured by a cat. But the gist is that they wait until a particular bloody feast festival of the Daughters of Khaine, where they all get together in particularly important and revered, ritual combat and sacrifice and murder and so on. And what they assume is going to happen is they're going to be too busy doing all that whilst the Nighthaunt take the rest of the city. And by the time they notice, they'll sort of go, "Oh no, we'll go and kill them in a minute. We've got to finish our craziness." And half it works. They start to they sack the outskirts of the city. However, the witches get wind of it, and instead of carrying on with their rituals, they all just run out and start fighting. Not particularly organised, so the outcome, I suppose, could be said to be a no-score draw. Is the gist. Then we've got a nice double page of the map of Ashkey, with where Har-Curon is, and the other cities on here like Hammerhall, Ashqua, Aksha, and Hallowheart, and so on. There's a lot of the main cities are based in Ashkey, and I guess a lot of that is because a lot of the early books were based in Ashkey, in sort of Series 1 in first edition, or that lore was around then. And it sort of moved on to Soul Wars in Series 2, and now it's Dawnbringer Crusades. But I've only been playing this 6 months, so I'm really enjoying getting caught up on all the lore. It's like endless opportunities. So there's a nice bit on that. Some nice artwork. Then a thing on the Daughters of Khaine. There's a little vignette about all of the different types. The High Gladiatrix, the Sisters of Slaughter, the Kinneri Heartrenders. Nice name. The Doomfire Warlocks. There's a bit about their shtick. There's some super nice pictures. And then we come to the bit about the Nighthaunt. No, I must have turned 2 pages at once. Indeed, I did. So the Nighthaunts, equally. There's a bit about the Spirit Torment, the Craven Throne Guard, the Bladegeist Revenants, the Mermorn Banshees, the Chainghasts. I believe the only ones that are super new in this. I think the character is for the Arena of Shades, but I'm not 100%. But as I said before, Nighthaunt players will get more out of this, unfortunately, because of my lack of knowledge of the sisters. The Scriptum Mortis, very cool. They were an order of scribes who captured the Age of Myth as they saw it unfolding. And let's just say that the Sigmar-heavy version of history that they recorded wasn't to Nagash's liking. So when they died, he cursed their souls to rewrite all the histories, but from Nagash's perspective, they were not allowed to write anything other than from Nagash's perspective. So they're constantly witnessing battles and writing things down, and they've developed an element of sort of timeliness where they predict people's deaths, and they write it in the book, and then it happens. So there's a little game mechanic around that. The other ones are the Craven Throne Guard. One of the ways that Kurdos managed to seize power was he had basically an army of thugs who would do people over in back alleys and, were his sort of private strong arm militia. And they were all cursed in death to serve him in the same way. So they are his favourite killers, who are now potent sharpshooters, and the projectiles are drawn from their own essence. They're sort of like soul-seeking, which we'll get onto in a little bit. And Lemmy has entirely decided that it is fuss time. I don't know if you can see this. Oops. Has entirely decided that it's fuss time. So she's laying in front of me here like this. Oops. Oh, don't touch the camera, Paul. That's interneting 101. Don't touch the camera. Okay, so excuse me. So we have realm rules. We're straight into narrative play. So there are realm rules in here, and some. Oh, excuse me a second. And some narrative battle plans. But many of these are rules that you can just layer over any game. It doesn't have to be a Path to Glory game or anything like that. So, and technically they're just used for fighting the various... It calls out in which battle plans they're relevant for. So, in the Call of Khaine battle plan, which is as the battle for Harkuron raged, the gladiatrix Yelena led the war coven of the sisters out of the arena into the tangled warrens of the city, and then ended up in a brutal storm of combat. And that's it tells you which units to use. Obviously, the units from the box. So it's the gladiatrix, Sisters of Slaughter, Spirit Torment, Chainghasts, Bladegeists, and a number of special rules. The defender's army can retreat and still charge. The attacker can reroll run and charge rolls if they're within range of Maladrock, who is the Spirit Torment, and the plan looks like that. But there's a special rule that applies to this, or special rules that apply to the Call of Khaine. The Streets of Harkuron. Bricks and stone. At the start of the shooting phase, the defender can make one bricks and stone attack from each building in their territory that's not been cleared, because the terrified citizens of the settlement can hurl bricks and roof slates and other improvised missiles at their tormentors. And so there's a mortal wound mechanic on units that are near buildings. Hidden defenders. Defender can place any of their units in reserve that are then treated as garrison units in buildings. They can set up that you secretly pick an unoccupied building within your territory, and then they appear later on in the battle. Then there are different rules for the soul theft battle plan. So soul theft. Come on. Oh no, Chronicle of Malice doesn't have any special rules. This is where the Nighthaunt reap a grisly toll of souls being dragged back to the ghoulish oubliettes, still wanting more. Again, army, the units are pre-selected from the box. It's a sort of horseshoe attack surrounding a defender's territory. Attackers set up their reserve units in their first hero phase, so you don't stay in reserve for very long. And it's only 3 battle rounds. It's short, it's sharp, it's bloody. Then Battle Plan 3, Soul Theft. Vanyon is searching for one potent soul to steal that'll please Nagash. Which is where you get the... I think this is the whole contents of the box in this particular fight. And basically it comes down to whether or not... Oh no, so major victory if Yelena has been slain and Vanyon has not. Defender wins a major victory if Vanyon has been slain and Yelena has not. And then there's adding up points to determine another minor victory. But there are also special rules for that. So in the arena tunnels, the impenetrable gloom, range of spells and missiles is restricted to 12. Low ceilings, models can't fly. Walls of solid rock. All of the terrain features set up on the battlefield are considered to be walls of solid rock that reach from the ground to the ceiling. Terrain features cannot be moved across by models, including models that can fly. And visibility between 2 models is blocked if a straight line can be drawn past the closest points of any terrain feature. And then there's a command ability, a hidden tunnel command ability that you can use at the end of your opponent's movement phase. Cunning traps can do D3 mortal wounds to enemy units. And then there's a way that they can be mixed into the open war generator. Nice. So that's those. Right then, now on to the rules. So the Scripta Mortis is a move 6 wounds, 4+ save. He's okay in a fight, 3 attacks, 4+3 +/-1, 2 damage. He's ethereal, which is the same as it was, which sort of, I imagine some of the stat lines in here will give us some hints as to what the book is going to look like. But not necessarily. We have seen recent books where the stat lines in the box have been different to the stats in the book, Eldar being one example. Sentenced to eternal torment. Long story short, you name an enemy character. Is it a character? An enemy hero as being sentenced to torment. And in the following hero phase, they then take 2d6 mortal wounds. With a bunch of other criteria, but basically, you roll the dice to see if the number's less than the current battle round. If you do, they take 2d6 mortal wounds. So you've got a turn to kill the Scripta Mortis once it has highlighted your general for Eternal Torment, finding a powerful soul to write the name in the book. Witchlight Candles. Once per phase, you can allocate wounds or mortal wounds to summonable units within, so he can pass off wounds to nearby Nighthaunts. Spirit Torment is more or less the same as it has been previously. So it's 3 attacks, 4 plus 3 plus minus 2, 2 damage. I believe that's the same. It's also ethereal. It's move 8. It can still capture soul energy to heal nearby units. But it loses the ability to add 1 to hit rolls to friendly models within 12 inches. That's now just a chain ghast ability. So the chain ghasts, they're another link in the chain ability, which previously was if they're within 12 inches of a Spirit of Torment, they extended the range of the Spirit of Torment to +1 to hit aura. So you could sort of make like a double bubble. Now, if there's a friendly Spirit of Torment anywhere on the battlefield, units get the +1 to hit within 12 inches of the chain ghast. So they don't get it within range of Spirit of Torment, but they do get it within range of the chain ghast, assuming that isn't a mistake. But they're also 8-inch move, 2 wounds. Oh, the Spirit Torment's 5 wounds. 4 plus save. 5 plus save on the chain ghast. There are a few things in here that are 5 plus save. Previously, the Nighthaunts were all 4 plus saves, with the exception of the chain ghasts. There are at least 2 units in this book that now have a 5-up save. So, and given that it can't be modified because of the ethereal rule, they're probably wanting to tone down on that. Or there's just a piece of the puzzle we're not seeing because this isn't the battle tome, it's just some profiles. Blade Ghost Revenants are more or less as they were. 8-inch move, 1 wound, 4 plus save. Tomb Greatblade with 2 attacks, 3 plus 3 plus minus 1, 1 damage. They're still ethereal. They're still elite, so they can issue orders to themselves. And they still have the Whirling Death, so they can still retreat and charge in the same turn. However, they no longer get a buff for being close to a Spirit of Torment, which they used to get. Now, the Craven Throne Guard are 8-inch move, 1 wound with a 5 plus save. The Soul Hunter's Bow. It's a nice weapon, but it is a 12-inch range, so I don't know how useful it will be. I don't know. I'm curious to see how well they do, what their role is on the battlefield. It's 2 attacks, 4 plus, minus 1, 1 damage. But the Spectral Bolts ignore cover, and you don't have to see your target, which sounds, whoa, gross. And you get 5 for, I think it's 95 points? No. Yes. 5 for 95 points. So 10 for 190. But they only have a 12-inch range. So, I mean, I guess they'd be pretty good for shooting at things on the other side of wildwoods or very large objectives, as long as they're not too wide. One use for them, I thought, was if your units are in combat with an enemy unit, but you can't physically see them because all your units are in the way, well, you can shoot over and obviously into combat because that's an AoS thing that you can do. They also, if they have a standard bearer, when you try and rally them, they return on a 5 or 6, not just a 6. So they do come back. But that's them. And Mermorn Banshees, similar to how they were, but now I'm looking at it, I can't remember how they were. It's not a system where they can unbind spells. Their thing, if an enemy wizard successfully casts does not unbound within 12 inches of them, or a unit that is being affected is within 12 inches of them, you roll 2d6 after the effect's applied, and you add 1 if the unit's large, and so on. And if it's greater than the casting value of the spell, it's not. Oh, right, okay. I must have read this wrong. It is an unbinding, but it's basically a second unbinding. So even if you've tried to unbind it, and then this is in range, they will unbind it again. But it's not technically unbinding because you can only unbind once. It's spell eaters. And then there's a bit about the way it affects endless spells. Right, the High Gladiatrix is a 6 wound, 6 move, 5 plus save, 8 bravery hero. Daughters of Khaine hero. She's got a bladed whip, which is a 3-inch range, which is nice. 4 attacks, 3 plus minus 1, 1. and a Gladiatrix Whip, which is 1 inch. Sorry, Gladiatrix Blade. That makes more sense. Which is a 2-inch, a 2 attack, mark 3+, 3+, -1/1. She has the Dance of Death ability, which they all seem to have. Eligible to fight if they're within 6 inches of an enemy unit instead of 3, and it can pile in an extra 3 inches. So basically, you activate within 6 inches with these elves rather than 3 inches, and then they can move 6 to get to you. So good luck staying away from them. Killing Stroke ability. At the end of the combat phase, you can pick an enemy hero within an inch and roll a d3. If the number of wounds allocated to the hero, add the number of wounds allocated to that hero to the roll. If the roll is equal to or greater than the wounds characteristic, it's slain. So if you do 2 wounds to a character and then roll the d3 and get another 3, then if it's greater than the wounds characteristic, equal to or greater than the wounds characteristic, so if it's a 5 wound hero, dead. That's nice. You only have to do a couple of wounds to them, and then they might potentially just get killed with the Killing Stroke. A High Gladiatrix prides herself on slaying enemies with magnificently gory flourishes, killing them with a brutal whip motion or a single piercing stroke from her blade. Wahahaha. She also has Paragon of Slaughter. Barbed whips and sacrificial knives, when used by friendly witch elves, are Sisters of Slaughter, wholly within 12 inches. Have a to wound characteristic of 3+ instead of 4+, and a rend characteristic of -1 rather than dash. Okay, the wording there is important because it's not saying +1 to wound, it's saying the to wound is changed to 3+. Presumably that's to get around some kind of, you can't do multiple to wounds together, but I'm not aware of a rule that says that. Right, Sisters of Slaughter. These are 6-inch move with 1 wound. Oh, alright, let me. 1 wound, 6+ save. Barbed Whip. It's not the same profile. It's 2 attacks, 3 to hit, 4 to wound. No rend, 1 damage. Sacrificial Knife. Again, not the same profile. Oh, that's because it's a different weapon. 1 inch, 1 attack, 3 to hit, 4 to wound, 1 damage. But if you've got the Nero Gladiatrix, then they're nastier. Standard Barrel lets them reroll Battle Shock tests. Hornblower lets them run and charge. Bladed Bucklers. If they're armed with Bladed Bucklers, add 1 to save rolls, and if the unmodified save roll is a 6, the attacking unit suffers a mortal wound. And then Dance of Death, the same as the Gladiatrix. It's a 6-inch activating piling. The Khaine Heartrenders, 14-inch move, 1 wound, 5+, 7 bravery. They can fly. They have a barbed javelin ranged weapon, which is 12 inches, 1 attack, 3+, 3+, -1/1. And in melee, the barbed javelin is a 1-inch range. You'd have thought it would have been 2, maybe. 1 attack, 4+, 4+, -1/1. Descend into battle is a reserves anywhere on the battlefield within 9-inch thing. If you, on the turn they do that, they get +1. That you improve the rend characteristic by 1. Fire and flight. They can run and shoot on the same turn. In addition, in your shooting phase, after this unit shoots, the unit can make a normal move of 6 inches. Oh, that's nice. So you move them 14 and run them d6, possibly 6 if you use not Fall to Victory, the other one, the one that makes you move max, you run max. Then once they've thrown their javelins 12 inches, you move another 6 inches close to your target before you charge. I mean, they've only got 5 shooting attacks each and then 5 close combat attacks each. They're not gross, but that's nice. That's sort of funky. How many points are they? 95. That feels about right. Then we've got Doomfire Warlocks. 14 inches, 2 wounds, 5+. The Dark Steeds are armed with vicious bites. Doomfire crossbows, 12-inch range, 2 attacks, 4+3+1. That's nice. Melee weapons, 2 weapons, Cursed Scimitar, 2 attacks, 3+-1/-1. Vicious Bite, 2 attacks, 4+4+1. No red one. Doomfire, they have a spell that can be cast with a range of 12 inches. And it does mortal wounds. The amount depends on the total number of models in this unit. And the Doomfire Coven, add 1 to casting and unbinding rolls if the unit has 5 or more models. Points wise, I guess I should have gone through this as a grade. The Doomfire Warlocks are 140. The Sister for 5. Sisters of Slaughter are 135 for 10. Gladiatrix is 100 points. Scriptum Mortis, who could just write your name down and kill you, is 150. Most of the others I think I mentioned earlier. And that is the book. So when I said skip ahead 20 minutes, I actually meant 36. So let's have a look at what's in the box. Right then. Lemmy has finally relocated to her radiator bed and is sat getting ready for a snooze because she was sat where the camera needed to be. Anyway, won't go into that with you. Let's open the box. Now, obviously, I have had to have it open to get that out, but to get this out. But literally all I've done is taken that out. So you can see everything else is still in the packages. So let's have a look. So, in the same way as you would get if you bought the... let's zoom out a little bit. That's in, out. Now shake it's all about. In the same way as you would get if you bought the battle cards for any faction, you get the individual cards, which are very nice. These are so handy. I love these things. And the tokens that you would get. These I don't use so much. I have other things I use for objective markers and wound markers and command points and so on. But if you haven't got those, this is good to start, because this is a starter game, because you will also see, and I'm just going to go straight to it, you'll also see this box has a rulebook in it. Yep, it's got the little pamphlet rulebook, which has got my one complaint with the rulebook when I found it in another box I was reviewed a while ago, 6 months ago, was there were no battle plans in it. But not an issue, because the battle plans are in the Arena of Shades book. So handy. So we've got the how to build, which we'll have a good look at in a minute. A load of bases. We've got 32s, 40s, and 25s. I assume we will work out what they all go on in a minute. Right, is there anything else underneath the super duper thing? Yes, we have some transfers. Who are the transfers for? Dark Elves. Okay, so these are quite old. I wonder which models you apply those to, but it's probably for, where are we? It's probably for these runes here onto various parts of the Witch Elves. And 5 little oval bases, they will be for the Doomfire Warlocks, I am sure. So, so much plastic. I just want to lay it all out in a pile and roll around in it, but that would probably damage it a lot. Right, I'm going to go through the sprues, then I'll go through the book. Okay, so this is the... Let's zoom in. This is the Scriptum Mortis. Okay, so it's 1 sprue. Bit bent, the sprue. Hopefully that doesn't actually impact the model too much. But then again, it isn't like it's resin and you need to heat it with a hairdryer to make it bend. Some of the pieces will just bend. We've got books. I can't see any inlaid text in the books. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not. It's very nice when it is, because it just soaks up the ink, which makes life easier. Lots of nice wisps to take all of the sort of ethereal wispiness. Candles, you can distinguish the candles from the wisps. You can get your candle colour out there, the flame colour, and it not just be enveloped by the mist. That's nice, like that. I am looking forward to doing this. It's making me think about my current projects and my next projects, and there's just not enough time in the week to do everything. It's all so cool. A big candelabra that's, oh, look at that, it's skewered through him. It goes right through him. Who needs hands when you don't need your internal organs to be free of spikes? Right. So these are the Bladegeist Revenants. These are not new, but they are cool. They've got lots of dynamic poses with, I don't know if you can really see these from here. Probably you'll see it more in the instructions. But a lot of the poses are very dynamic, with them sort of looking in one way and the sword sweeping backwards whilst the mist sort of twirls round. One thing I will say, from the ones I've done, they definitely benefit from having a weight in the base, because they aren't entire. The central gravity is quite high on them, so they do fall over quite quickly, quite easily. I ran out of old coins to use, so I took to buying thingy gubbinses, big bags of washers from Amazon of the right width. They work very well. Ooh, one other thing I will say, I mean, I've just caught that with my thumb and I've bent it. Yeah, some serious spindle on some of these swords. You have got to be careful. They also, getting the headpiece, you see here on this one, there's like two halves to it, and inside there's a little notch where you need to put the faceplate. Getting those to line up and then glue the two halves together is a trial of patience, because you see the head bit looks like that. There's hardly anything you've got to actually hold. And because of the shape of it, the glue runs down it like a good un. So the number of times I glued myself together with these was just untrue. What I ended up, because I have got a unit of these ready, what I ended up doing, and to me, it wasn't immediately apparent which way to orient the head on just one half. So what I ended up doing was splodging a bit of glue on one half, splodging a bit of glue on the other side, and then just smushing them together and then wiggling the thing around until it sat right. That seemed to work for me. But if you've got more dexterous hands than I have, if you haven't got these massive sausage fingers, you're probably going to find that a bit easier. So yeah, Bladegeist, very cool, very cool. It's going to be another unit of them. Yay! So the Mernmorn Banshees are also cool. So these are old, easy to build ones. They've got the pre-done bases with the little sort of rose and vine scribble on them, with a few skulls and the sort of graveyard-esque type stones. I also have some of these, but these aren't painted yet. Quite straightforward to put together from what I remember. And the gaps, I think, were mostly around the front, so they didn't look like gaps. But yeah, they do get that flying aesthetic off quite well. The way the robes come up through the gravestones. So it's not like it's stuck in midair on a stick. It's like it's raised through the ground, and then it's in the process of flying off, but its sort of skirt tails are still in the ground. Yeah, cool. Now, what have we got? Okay. Spirit of Torment and Chaingeists. So, this was a fiddly little fella to put together, because I also have one of these. This cage, sort of these two halves of it fit around the main body, and they haven't got very large touch points. So again, fat fingers, it's difficult to need. Yeah, you can see there where you expect these pieces of that sort of like pseudo metal rib cage to slot onto there. That's not the easiest thing I've ever done, but it does look really cool and dynamic when it's finished. And there's these sort of jail grids for base decoration, and I think this is a piece of base decoration as well. So they're sort of the implication being these are nasty people who were thrown in an underground jail and locked up and left to rot, and they died there, and this is where they were raised up from. Although I don't know how useful an undead is that won't move from where it died. It's got to be of limited use. Reminds me of my old live roleplay club that's still very much going, where if you raised a zombie, it had to be within 10 feet of the summoner or 10 feet of where you raised it. I digress a lot. These are elves. I'll come to the elves at the end because I've started on the Nighthaunts. Elf. Oh, these are all. Oh, they're all elves. This must be the last one. Okay, so oh, the crap, my voice is going. So the Craven Guard. I do love this banner. We've got some sort of thorns, which really tie into a lot of the detail on some of the bases. So they're going to be green with. Did I do red roses or did I do purple? I can't remember. Red with roses. This banner is depicted as rich red with gold inlaid. That looks like Kuros's Valentinian's crest. So that's going to be cool. Actual wooden crossbow. So I'm not going to be painting these ethereal. I'm going to do the actual wood, but the arms are going to be ethereal. Not quite sure how that works. When they float through a wall and they drop the crossbow on the other side of the door. So sort of dead hands, quarrels on the belt, as well as a hand weapon. A little bit of chainmail at the front. Very nice. Again, more railings they're floating through. That's definitely a Nighthaunt thing. Looks like this one is sort of stood up on the ground by the shape of that thing. I imagine that's the banner bearer. He's resting his catapult. Some of them look like they're primed and ready with a bolt in. Some look like they've been expended. Another hand weapon and quiver. Hand weapon and quiver. Hand weapon and quiver. Helmet. A sort of Saxon-style helm on that guy. And on a couple of these others as well. That's quite nice. Another piece of chainmail there. I do like the chainmail. It just breaks up some of the ethereal colouring to just do the sort of the metal dry brush over it and then a bit of rust. Yeah, love that. Okay, the Nighthaunts. Now these these Daughters of Khaine, I've never seen any of these models before, so a bunch of these aren't going to be new, but they're new to me, so they're exciting. This looks like it belongs with these because it's not. That is not 5 horses. Therefore, and it's got the telltale sign of being on a 3-length sprue and having been snapped to fit into a box. One of the standard box sizes. So, what do we have? We've got... now, does this make multiple kits? I bet this makes multiple kits. So, I bet we've got different type... I mean, it's covered in Lemmy hair now. But I bet we've got different types of heads and hair and weapons and so on. Looks like we've got 5 horse torsos, dark steeds, I think they are, black steeds, one or the other. Yeah, and these are shields, so I suspect this kit makes dark riders as well, dark riders with spears and these shields and these curved, cruel blades on scabbards, just to be sort of stuck onto the barding. Some little bits of chainmail, some sheathed catapults. Again, more sheathed catapults. So maybe some of these weapons are for the Doomfire Warlocks and the catapults just sort of stuck on. Ooh, magnet bait. These look like Warlock weapons, sort of very lithe and willowy. That's cool. Here we go, different sets of heads. These are your classic Dark Elf heads. They've probably got a name now that I don't know. These are your Black Riders, I'm sure. But then you've got... look at that. How's that for a head? With that evil grin and the 2 braids flowing backwards. That must be a Darkfire Warlock one. And then I assume here we have the Darkfire Warlock faces. Yeah. And then these are the hair to go behind. The torso is in multiple bits. We've just got the upper torso, so sort of from the rib cage upwards. So where is the lower torso? Well, I imagine these cloaky ones are the the Whoja-Watsits. These are the Dark Riders. Yes, in fact, these have got the upper torsos on them. So I suspect, yeah, here we go. Oh no, we're just to the waist here. Oh, onto the waist on the horses. So there must be another piece somewhere. Is this it? I imagine that will become clear when we look at the instructions. Right, what's this then? Are these the same? These are the same. Two the same. Yeah, there we go. Right, let's just look at one of them. So these will be the Sisters of Slaughter. Now, I think this makes two kits as well. Is this Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter? The number of heads will tell us. So the Sisters of Slaughter have got these sort of gold faceplate heads. Whip, trident. Oh no, is that a banner? Or is that a trident? More chainy whip things. Very cool. Very sharp, cruel looking dark elf blades there. Horn. Buckler shield. That was mentioned in the rules. Say successful saves of 6+ rebound mortal wounds. Here we go. Yes, so they are not Sisters of Slaughter heads. This must be a witch elf kit as well, I want to say. Excuse me. And that, I imagine, is the unit champion, the one piece leaping off a piece of obligatory elven rubble, like it's attached to a foot. Another foot rubble, more foot rubble. Yes, it's the obligatory elven jumping off a rock pose. Something we see in every version of Warhammer where we have an alive elf jumping off a rock. At least it doesn't look like a stone skateboard. Okay, what else do we have? So let's save her till last. She's a new one. Oh, these are the kin renders. Now, I wonder if this makes two kits as well. I'm sure the number of faces will tell us. We've got some very cool looking wings. Look at the quality of the bone ribs on that. And skulls on the floor, and torso's broken into torso and legs separate. Spears, crooked stabby things, sickles. Now that looks like another one of those gold face masks. I don't know if they're all gold face masks. There's another one. But that one looks more like the face of a regular elf, so I suspect this makes two different kits. I wonder, because we've got three things in here now that make two different kits. I hope the book tells you gives you the instructions for both versions. Fingers crossed. I know that doesn't help you with the scenarios that it suggests you can play, but those are just battle plans, and I'd like to think you can make them up in any way you like. And the instructions are there to let you do that. That said, I had, what was it called? Shadow and Pain I was assembling not too long ago. And I had to Google the instructions for the chariot because it only had the instructions for one version of it in there. So maybe not. Cool. And now we have the High Gladiatrix. Single sprue. This is also bent and twisted. Oh, again, hoping that doesn't affect the model. So we have the obligatory elf stone to jump off with a skull at the bottom of it. Doesn't look like there are options. Oh no, there's two different heads. There's a regular elf head, elf lady head, and there's one with the golden mask. Are they two different torsos? No, there's a front and a back, so it's just head variants, I think. These all look like the pieces of the same whip, so it doesn't look like there are weapon. No, there must be weapon options, because we've got a hand here with the whip, hand with a knife, and hand with a sort of short polearm, two-ended polearm. Cool, right, let's have a look at what the instructions tell us. Do I reorient the camera slightly in a sort of dangerous way? Wrong way. No, maybe not. Problem is, no one's going to shout at me to tell me you can't see. Okay, right, hang on. No. Yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, right. Let's see. Okay, so straight we're on to the Nighthaunts. Yeah, here we've got the Scriptum Mortis. There aren't any build variants that I can see here. It's a standard 12-piece, clip them all out, put them together in order kind of jobby. The Blade Geist Revenants, you do have options around the faces. They are supposedly all interchangeable. Yep, I've given you my forewarning on those. The two halves of each Revenant are pre-selected. They're not pick and mix. You've got to clip the right ones out for the right one. Some of them have 3 pieces rather than just the 2, but they do make these lovely dynamic poses that you can see. I mean, I think they look very, very cool. And then we have more of the same for an entire page, giving us then this this unit of these really lovely dynamic poses. Really like those. Then we have the Spirit Torment and the Chain Gas. So the Spirit Torment has different head options. So as I already have this one, I'll be checking I'm not using the same head option. You've got the same head up. You've got different head options as well for the 2 Chain Geist. These aren't the same pieces. So 16 and 17 and 9 and 10 not duplicated on any of these. So you can have unique heads on all of these, and then a whole bunch of different base dressing with the jails and the chains and all that good stuff. The Mermorn Banshees, no glue required yet. These are, I want to say snap fit. They're easy to build, but yeah, they do push nicely together, and the gaps are where the gaps in the model are meant to be, you know, so where there's no torso underneath the armor plate, which works quite well. I did find a couple of dabs of glue here or there just to keep some of the joints together. Was effective, but again, they do have this lovely wailing dead aesthetic, which I think is really cool. Then we have the Craven Throne Guard. Okay, so we have some options here. Craven Huntmaster and Craven Guard. So there's also, in fact, there are a few variants here. So presumably when you're buying a separate set, if you don't want to have multiple Huntmasters, you build 6C, where this one's loading his crossbow from the same carcass as the Huntsman would be. Are there any options on these? Yes, there's different head options. So again, I'm not sure if these are replicated all the way through. They don't look like they are. It looks like there's paired head options all the way. So you could get another box and they all have different heads. They would all be in some way different. If you were doing a unit of 10. You may well be able to mix them up amongst the different ones as well to get even more variety. Not that just changing the heads is a huge amount of variety. They are very similar, but it's a difference, which is helpful. The Standard Bearer, you don't have to do the Standard Bearer. I was right, he's leaning on it. He's leaning on his crossbow. You also have an option to do Standard Bearer as a regular guard. I know Standard Bearers are free and they're 1 per 5. It can look a little bit odd if you've got multiple Standard Bearers in the same unit. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of doing that. But it makes perfect sense that the rules allow you to do that because it lets you combine your units, which can be a bit of a pain in the bum if you can't do that. So yeah, there's the other option for that one. 8 and 9, the only options they've got are for the heads. And number 10 looks like the only option is for the heads. I can't see a musician. I missed a musician. Is there a musician? There may not be a musician in the rules. I can't recall. I can't see a musician option. Okay. Then the High Gladiatrix. Yeah, so we have a fairly standard 10-piece. You've got a choice of whether you put the knife in her hand or the short stave, and which head you put on her. I guess that depends whether you've got lots of witch elves in your army and you want to have the bare face to match your witch elves, or whether you've got lots of the gold faceplate ones and you wanted to have match. It's nice that they have done it to work with both. Right, the Sisters of Slaughter. We just have the instructions for the Sisters of Slaughter. Okay, does it say anywhere they can also be used to build something else? No, it doesn't. It does not say that. You've only got the option for Sisters of Slaughter here. So if you want to build what I think are witch elves out of them, you have to find the instructions elsewhere. That is a shame. So the Handmaiden is the unit champion, or you can just do a regular Sister of Slaughter. You've got the option to have the shield or the dagger. So I assume the shield is in place of the dagger. So you've either got the save or you've got the extra attacks. Got a Hornblower. Is there a Banner Bearer? That's the Hornblower. She has a number of options for her stabby weapon and or shield. Yes, here we go. Banner Bearer. Ooh. Banner Bearer can be either a Banner Bearer or a regular Sister of Slaughter. Again, nice not to have to put multiple banners in units that you are reinforcing. Couple of different headpiece options for the banner. So, because these are your core battle line, so you can make the units look a bit different. Weapon options on the arms, again, make the units look a bit different. Looks like the same is true here with the Kinrathi Heart Renders. You can only build the Kinrathi Heart Renders, not the other option by the looks of it. Yeah, it's just the Kinrathi Heart Renders. So there may need to be some going online to decide what I'm going to eventually assemble these as. They're in a queue, but they're not near the front, unfortunately. They'll get there. They'll get there. Hence the unboxing. If I was just doing painting videos, I'd have a much bigger queue. I can unbox them, and then they can go into the onto the Kanban board and eventually make their way to the top. So options here for the Shrike, which is the unit leader, and just a regular heart render. A regular heart render. That doesn't sound terribly reassuring, does it? That's that one being finished. Variants here. I can't see much. Oh, they're rather than being across the way, they're down the way. Different to all the other pages. Thank you. No, the heads, they've got no variants. The arms and the heads, they're all left arm, right arm. No options there. Same there. Doomfire Warlocks. Okay, this first one can be either the Master of Warlocks or a Doomfire Warlock. Yeah, they have got the big flowy hair thing. Doesn't look like the one with the braids in the hair is on here at all, so that must just be a Dark Rider thing. Or maybe not, I don't know. No variation here by the looks of it either. Or is there? And a B and C. So there's your leader, there's your regular. Got your weapon in the hand. Where are the crossbows? Where are the Doomfire crossbows? Maybe they were a Dark Rider piece and they're not on the Doomfire Warlocks. Yeah, I mean, even looking at the painted ones, they're not anywhere on the Doomfire Warlocks. Huh. Okay. I'm sure it said they had a crossbow in the description. Oh, well. There we go. That is Arena of Shades unboxed and the rules reviewed for your reviewing pleasure. Shout out to my my channel members and my Patreons for your ongoing support, helping me work towards the hobby dream. You guys are awesome. If you want to support me, check out the description below. The description on the video, there are links to channel memberships and so on. Or if you're about to rush out and purchase this, maybe consider buying it from Element Games using my affiliate link, because I get commission from them and that helps support me and it helps get more models for the channel and everything and stuff, and it's all really good. And I'm in danger of prattling now, so I'll simply say, take care everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!